Good morning, one and all present over here. A very warm welcome to the technical webinar. As we all know, we are gathered here for the live webinar. Good morning, one and all present on the webinar. A very warm welcome on the topic of Flutter, Introduction and Implementation. Today, we are having a guest speaker, Ms. Himlata Badwal, to conduct both the session. On the topic of Flutter, Introduction and Implementation. Today, we are having a guest speaker, Viva Institute of Tech. The webinar is organized under the banner of late Sri Vishnu Vaman Thakur Charitable Trust, Viva Institute of Technology, Department of Master of Computer Application, in association with University of Mumbai. Our esteemed organization always allow us to organize such technical webinars for the improvement of students and faculties throughout the academic years. I am Shloka Patil, a student of final year MCA from Viva Institute of Technology. With me, I have my co-host Ms. Harshada Kamble and Mr. Chirag Shah under the guidance of Professor Nitesh Kumar, who have always tried to organize such technical events in every academic year. Now, without further ado, we will turn the time over to Ms. Hemlata Badwal. Our guest speaker is having enough experience in software development. She has worked with various programming languages and have designed web applications, web services, and provided database support. She is well versed with ASP.NET, MVC architecture, .NET Core, Entity Framework, APIs, and database. Ms. Hemlata Badwal is an alumni of Viva School of MCA and currently associated with Neosoft Technologies as an associate software engineer. Now, I will request Ms. Hemlata Badwal to take over and start your session. If any one of you having queries and doubts during the session, they can put their query in the live chat. Thank you. Over to you, Ms. Hemlata.
Hello, good morning everyone. Today we are going to learn Flutter, and I have been relayed the information that many of you have not been able to install Flutter. So let me just start with that quick installation process, and then we'll learn what is Flutter and why we must use Flutter. Okay, I hope my screen is visible to everyone. Okay, so I have given this link to install the Flutter. So as you can see, there are a lot of instructions given on this particular page. So initially we have some system requirements over here, which is the operating systems, the disk space, and some tools are required. So Windows PowerShell, it is already pre-installed with Windows 10, so we don't need to install that, but we have to install Git. So I have given the link to install Git as well earlier. Now here, it says to download the Flutter SDK and then extract the zip file into whatever particular directory you want it to say. So, but there is another option over here which says we can directly clone the repository from the Git. So I prefer this option. So what we can do is simply copy this code and we can create a particular folder in C drive. So as you can see, I've already created another folder. Let me create another one for demo. So we'll create a source1 folder over here and we'll open the command line. And here I'm going to clone my Git repository for Flutter. We'll give it some time to install the Flutter, and then we can check whether it has been installed correctly or not. Okay, so this is done now. Uh, what else is instructed over here is we have to update the environment variables. So this we can update from here. We can just search for the environment variables, and here in the environment variables, select the path, edit, and see over here I have already put a path for Flutter bin folder. So if you don't have this over here, you can just add a new path over here, and you can browse. So the folder where you have installed your Flutter. So that you are going to go to select your that particular folder. So I have it in my source as well as source one, but I have already set my path in source. I'm not going to set it again. So I'll just show you here. In this Flutter, we have this bin folder over here. So we'll just click on OK. So your environment path will get set over here. And then do OK. Close all these. Now, what else is instructed over here? Flutter Doctor. Now this will show whether our Flutter has been installed correctly or not. So here I have my Flutter in source folder for which the environment variable has been set. I'm going to go over here. Here I have Flutter Console. Just open this Flutter Console. You will see this some information about Flutter Console. And here we have to just run Flutter Doctor to check whether it has been installed correctly or not. So it will give us some summary over the Flutter. So we can see over here Flutter, this is particularly stable. Then Android toolchain. So something is missing over here. Then we have Chrome properly installed. Android Studio we have. VS Code we have, and it is connected to 2 devices right now. So now what we have to check over here is we have the Android Studio because we are going to work over here. We have Flutter properly installed, so we can ignore this particular thing for now. So our Flutter is running properly right now. So this is done now. All right. So this is how your Flutter has been installed. Now, Android Studio. When you start the Android Studio, we have to install some plugins over here for creating the Flutter project. So we'll check whether these plugins are installed over here. And we'll check over here Flutter. So yes, this is being installed. I can see a tick mark over here. It is already installed. And if it is not installed, you'll get an option over here to install. And for installing the Flutter, the prerequisite is Dart. So if you install Flutter, it will just give you a pop-up that a prerequisite Dart plugin is also required. And if you just do OK over there, your Dart will get installed automatically along with Flutter. So now we already have Dart and Flutter plugins installed in our Android Studio. So we can create a new project over here. So this will come to later on. First, let's see what is Flutter, why do we require Flutter, and so on. So what is Flutter now? Flutter is an open source UI software development kit. So it is not just a framework, it is a complete software development kit, which means we must be having a rendering engine along with the Flutter. We will be having widgets, we'll be having all the required components, everything when we install Flutter. And we can use this Flutter to develop the cross-platform applications using the single code base. Now, suppose we have a particular developer who is very good in developing iOS applications. So he has created one particular application which has become very famous, and the Android users are asking that particular person that please give us this same application in Android. So what this person will have to do is first he'll have to learn how to code in Android app development. He'll have to learn Java for that. He may be or may not be knowing, so he'll have to invest time in that and then create an application. So now let's suppose that he has created he has learned Java everything, and he has also created the application, same application for Android people and same application for iOS. Now what happens when it comes to maintenance? So he has two particular code bases for two different files. So every time he has to give a particular update, patch, or anything, he has to make changes in two particular code bases, which is why we use Flutter, because it gives an opportunity to create the applications using a single code base. So I can create a Flutter application which will be compatible with the Android users as well as with the iOS users. Nowadays, Flutter is also increasing to web and everything, so we can also like create web applications with Flutter, but mostly we are going to focus with the mobile application. Now, Flutter, some history about Flutter. Flutter was initially known as the Sky Engine when it was launched, and at that time it ran only on the Android OS. But then in 2017, Flutter was officially released with the name Flutter. Now, why Flutter? Why do we need Flutter? So, one of the major reasons I have already given you is we can maintain a single code base for multiple applications. That is the reason we use Flutter. But we have some benefits over there. So, what are those benefits? It has low cost app development, because obviously single code base, low cost. Then it is similar to native app performance. It will perform the same as I create a dedicated Android application and dedicated Apple application. So it will perform in the same way. So that is also a main advantage of using Flutter. It goes beyond mobile. So nowadays we can also create Flutter web applications, which is why it goes beyond mobile applications. It has its own rendering engine and code reusability. So single line of code for both the different platforms or multiple different platforms. So that is a main advantage. Simple logic implementation. Now, many of you would have heard about Flutter along with the word Dart. So what is this Dart? Dart is a programming language. And if you don't even know Dart right now, it is so easy to learn. I'm sure by the end of the session, you will know Dart, how to use the Dart programming language while creating the Flutter application. Then it gives high performance. So if you talk in terms to CPU usage, if you talk in terms of rendering the particular layouts, it is much faster than the native Xamarin. Like we have Xamarin from Microsoft, which is also a hybrid cross-platform development SDK. So it is faster than even with the Xamarin. So it has high performance. It gives real-time update. Now, a major advantage of using Flutter is it gives hot reload functionality. Now, what is that functionality? We'll also try to implement and see how it works, but it is used to give real-time updates. So I need not start and stop the application every time while I'm creating the Flutter application to see how my output is going to come. And then it has a vast library of widgets. So anything you name it, any widget you want to use in Flutter, you can get it from the library itself. So it has a very vast library of widgets. So we are going to use the widgets for creating the Flutter. Now, this is the Flutter architecture. If you see over here, we have a framework, Dart framework over here, which is having material and Cupertino packages or libraries, we can say. So material library is a library which is used for building. It is like a building block of all the components that are used in the interface. So anything you want to show on the layout, you can get that in the material library. So for example, we have a scaffold class over there, or scaffold widget. So what is the use of this scaffold widget? It will provide you a visual framework of how your application will look like. And then there is Cupertino. So Cupertino is for iOS applications. So if I want to create any interface or theme which is standard for the Apple users, so I can use the Cupertino package for that development. Then comes the widget rendering, animation, painting, and gestures. All these packages are, let's go one by one. So widget package, widget is basically a catalog for all the commonly used widgets. So if you go to the material .io, which is a website which displays, or it is a documentation of what all components it provides, what all widgets or what all classes are present in the particular package. You can get like a documentation for all that. You will see that you have so many widgets, so many animations, everything. So it is underlying the underlying packages that are used for that is coming from all these widgets rendering in all these packages. Material and Cupertino packages use all these packages to display the layout to the application user. Then comes the rendering. So rendering has its own layout, has its own painting. So if you're not giving any background color, it is going to still implement some color at the on the background of the application. So that is the use of the rendering. It is also like giving some if you want to do any alignments or borders or any decorative things. So for that we can use the rendering library. Then for animation purposes, if you want to see any animations or any value that changes over time and you want to give that particular value a particular animation, for that we'll use the animation package. Then comes the painting. Now the rendering engine has its own layout and painting at the back end, but if you want to provide some specialized widgets uh, which is having its own painting thing. So a widget having a border, a widget, multiple widgets having spaces between those boxes. So all those things can be found in the painting library. And then the gestures. So if you want to implement something, some functionality for tapping a particular thing or dragging a thing on the mobile application. So for that, we can use the gestures library. And then comes the foundation. So foundation is the lowest level utility class, which provides all the classes and functions that are used by all the other packages. So it is a low level or underlying class, which is going to provide all the classes and functions which will be used by the widgets, the rendering, the animation, the painting, and all other packages. And then there is an engine of Flutter. So here we can see the Skia engine, the Dart, and the text. Flutter has its own engine, so it is showing that it has its own engine. Okay. Now, what is Dart and what is Flutter? So as I have already explained, Flutter is an open source UI SDK, but Dart is a programming language. So it can be used for web application, it can be used for mobile application as well. Flutter is a framework, whereas Dart is a programming language. The programming language used for creating a Flutter application is Dart, and Dart itself is a programming language. Then there are the initial release dates. The developer is Google for both these things, and both are open source and free to use. Now, widgets. Widgets is like a major thing in the Flutter application. You'll hear widgets everywhere when you are creating the Flutter application. So what is widget? So in Flutter, but basically everything is a widget. So you start with a widget, you create a widget tree, which will be like you create a My App, which is a top level widget. Inside this widget, you'll create a hierarchy, which will be having material app, which will be then inside that material app, you will be having home app, home page. On that home page, we are going to use the scaffold widget. On this scaffold widget, you will use some app bar, and it has multiple properties. So we'll see that one by one. So basically, it is just a widget tree, and we are going to use this widget tree to create the application. Now, scaffolding. Scaffolding is a major part for it is a major widget that is used for providing the layout to your application. So it is used. Scaffold is used in Flutter to implement the basic material design and visual layout structure. So if you use scaffold, you will have multiple properties in that. So for example, if you want to create an app bar, which shows the title of the particular application. You can use that in the scaffold. You have this property called app bar. You can use that to create the title of the application. Then we have body. So anything that you want to show on the body, that will go in the body property, and so on. So see what all things we have in scaffold. So we can implement drawer, snack bar, bottom navigation bar, app bar, floating action buttons. So anything on the screen can be displayed using the scaffold widget. So it is a shortcut to set up the look and design of the app and allows us to build the individual visual elements manually. Now, stateful and stateless widgets. Now, these two widgets, we will use these widgets in the today's implementation. So let us understand what is stateful and stateless widgets. So the state of the widget is the information of the object and its properties that are holding the time of its creation. So when the widget is printed on the screen, that particular state is maintained in the application. So stateless widgets are immutable widgets. So any information that you want to show on the layout, which is never going to change once the widget has been displayed on the screen. For those things, you can use the stateless widgets. So for example, we use any application where we have titles of the application, or there is a particular form which we have labels for those particular elements. Suppose we have a drop down component on the form, so we'll be having a label for that. So those things are never going to change. What is going to change is the dynamic information. So if you're having any such data which is not going to change once the layout is rendered on the screen, for those widgets, yes, we will use the stateless widgets. And stateful widgets are the widgets which for whose properties or whose value is going to change over time. So during runtime, the values may change. These are dynamic and mutable, and they can be drawn multiple times. And it can change the appearance and responses. So we can implement the events and everything to change the state of the particular values of the particular elements. And for that, we are going to use the stateful widgets. Now let's jump to the application, creating application. So we are done with the presentation. Let me close this. Okay. Now, before jumping to creating the application, we'll just go through the syntax of Dart language if you are not familiar with it. So if you are aware of, or if you're familiar with JavaScript, see, it basically follows the similar syntax. So you'll pick that up pretty fast. So you can visit to this particular website, dartpad.dartlang.org, where you get a particular line of 3 to 4 lines of codes ready-made. And we can create some we can do some R&D with the Dart language over here before jumping to the actual implementation. So I hope I'm following with everyone. If you're not able to, please open this dartlang.org website so that we can do some implementation over here. Okay, so we have this few lines of code. We are going to remove these and we'll create our own. Okay, so let's see what are the data types available over here. So we have a string data type. So we'll create a variable and let's give it a value like this. Now print this variable. So this is a basic syntax of Dart language. Let's see. Yes, so this has run successfully. We have got the output Sylvester over here. Now, let me ask you one thing. If I change the value of name to the data type which is not string, will it allow me to print that particular thing? So let's say we have changed this to 30 and we are trying to print the name. We are already getting a red bar over here. So what does it say? A value of type int cannot be assigned to the variable of type string. So obviously it is not going to allow us to create or to change the name of the data type of the variable, but we have a particular variable over here which is dynamic, a data type which is dynamic. Now here, let's comment this. We have assigned the value to this dynamic variable and we are going to print this. Let's see if it runs properly. So yes, it runs properly. And now let's change this to integer data type. Will it run now? So it is not showing any error over here. I hope you'll get the output C. So this is like a new data type in Dart language where we are not providing any particular data type, proper data type, which is a primitive data type. So we can change the values of those. Now again, if I want to change this to string, so we can do that again over here. And now execute this. So now we get Johnson over here. So this is one thing. Now let's go create some functions over here. So for creating the functions, we'll have to give some data type to the function. What is the function returning? So my function is returning int. I'm creating a function get age, and I'll just return an integer value. Let's call this function over here. So we'll directly print this and run this. So we have got the name and the integer. Now, if you have not heard about the arrow functions, we can use arrow functions for functions which return a single line or the function which has a body of a single statement. So for that, what we can do is we'll remove this parentheses. It does not require the parentheses, and we are just going to shorten this function to a single line function. How we can do that is we need to remove this return statement and we'll put arrow over here. Now, what I'm implying over here is my get age function is having the return type integer and it is going to return this value. So the parentheses and the return keyword is implicitly executed while calling this function. So now we get the same output. So this is something that we are going to use, which is why I have to show you this. Okay. Now, what about the classes? We need to create some classes also. So we'll create a class over here. We're going to give some properties. Name. And level. And we are going to create a constructor over here. So how do we create a constructor? We need not specify the data type for this constructor. And here we are going to take the variables. And we are just going to initialize that this dot name is equal to this name. So we are going to do this and again this dot level is equal to level. So this dot level is level. Now we see we are getting some red line over here. Why do we get this red line? This is for the spelling mistake, my mistake. So why we are getting a red line over here, what it says is not nullable instance field name must be initialized. So it says that I cannot pass the variable which is null. So a quick fix for that is I'm just going to give a question mark, and I'm implying over here that this is a nullable type. So the name could be null, the level could also be null. So we have created the constructor. Let's create a function over here. So for creating the function, so my function is not returning anything. I'll just use void and let's say learn status, and we are simply going to print over here something which is so what I'm doing over here is I'm giving this name variable, whatever value will be set over in this variable needs to be shown over here, and whatever value is set on the level variable it's to be shown over here. This is called string interpolation. So you are just giving the variables inside the string. So this is my string, and inside the string I have specified my variables. Now we need to create an object for this particular class. So we are going to instantiate this class. So how are we going to instantiate it is we create an object is equal to the what is the convention is we use this new keyword while instantiating the class, and it will expect some parameters. So let's give these some parameter over here. So the convention is this way, but in Dart, we can just remove this new keyword. So this is still going to instantiate my object. And now if I want to show the name, whatever is passed, so I can directly use this way, and the level. And we also have a function, so we can also invoke the function over here. So learn status. All right, and now let's execute what happens over here. So yes, we have given the name, the level of the person, and what are we doing is we are invoking the function over here. So you can see that the variables are replaced with the values in this string. Now we also have inheritance over here in Dart. So that is pretty simple. We'll just create another class named trainer, which will extend the training class. And let's put the same variables over here. Now this will be the constructor. So change the name of the constructor, and since this is a child class, I can obviously use this particular function, but it can have its own different functions as well. So let's create another function, and we'll call both these functions from uh, on the main in the main function, which is this. So we'll just create another function over here. Yes, and here I'm just going to print and then create an object. Okay, so you were not able to see, so I've increased the font size over here. Okay. And what is the function that I have created is read status. So this is the function in the child class, but P2 can also access this function. So let's execute this. Okay, so what it says is expected extends instead of this. So what are we doing over here is we are just instantiating this, but this is a sorry, not here, here. My typo is there. And then what we can do over here is this dot name is equal to name. This thing we are going to change over here to the constructor which we had created earlier. So what we can do over here is, sorry, this dot name, the same thing that we did earlier, but we are going to use super keyword. So here we have name and level. So we are still getting an error. Argument type is not nullable. So I have already given this. What happened over here? Let me just check again what it says. Okay, so since we are using the constructor from this class, here we have specified that it can be nullable, but here it is not nullable. So that is what it is trying to tell us. And still we are getting an error. What is this error? Expected. Over here we have missed the semicolon. Sorry. Okay, I hope so this is visible properly. So now we can see over here we have printed the name, the level, and then we have invoked the function of the child class as well as the parent class. So this is how you create the classes. And then we also have list. So we are going to create a list. Let's name it as names and we'll assign some values. So it is a list of strings. We have not specified any type, but we are passing some values which will be string. So let's pass some names over here. And then there is John and right. and let's print the names. So execute this. Let me remove everything because it is getting clumped up over here. So we'll remove all these things over here, and we'll remove these things from here, and we'll execute this. All right. Okay, so we have not specified this list is of which data type. So if I want to add something in this list which is not a string type, so I have a function add. I can use this, and I'll add 30. And now let's print the names. So 30 got added into this. So similar, if I have to remove something from the list, I'm just going to use the remove function. And from here, let's say we have to remove the name Jane, and we'll execute again. Now this is John Mario and 30. So it is a mixed data type. Now, if I want to restrict this list to a single particular data type, what I can do is I can provide a type over here. So let's say I want a string list. So it says 30. The argument type integer can't be assigned to the parameter type string. So now this will not work. So we'll have to remove this. And now it works fine. So this will be given, this particular data type will be given if you want to restrict the type of the data type of the list. Otherwise, we can just use the list and it will be a mix of multiple data types values. All right. So this is a simple Dart language. So as you have seen, it is very much similar to what you have learned earlier. So it will be very easy to pick up everything that we are going to implement. Now we can jump to the implementation. So you guys can open your Android Studio and create a new project. Okay, so here when we come, if we have the plugins installed over here, we'll get a new option to create a project, which is the new Flutter project. So I hope you all are doing it along with me. So we'll just create a new project. Okay. Now here, when we create on Flutter project, this is already highlighted. So we have to give the SDK path over here. So wherever your Flutter is installed, you're going to just browse to that particular location. So I have in the source, I have this Flutter folder. So I'm sorry. Okay, so I'm going to select this folder and create, click on OK. So now my SDK path for the Flutter is being set for this particular project. And now I have to give the name of the Flutter project. So let us name this my first Flutter application. Okay, now you can see over here Android and iOS. If you try to like create only the Android project, or then you need to know Java or Kotlin. If you try to create the iOS application, then you need to know one of these languages. So this is like a requirement for creating the mobile applications. But with Flutter, we will just implement the Dart language, and we can cover we can create the application for both these platforms. And now I've given the name, so we'll just create this project. Okay, so here is my Android Studio. and we have some project details over here. Let me close this thing. Okay, so here you can see some details about the project that you have created. So the very first thing you see is your Flutter application. If you like open this, you'll get a very long list of few files that have been automatically created. Then there are some external libraries and scratches and consoles. So we'll see what all things are, all these things are. So you can see two major folders that have been created, Android and iOS. So any thing that is particularly dedicated to Android. So let's suppose the Android themes and everything, those can be set over here, and anything that is related to iOS can be set over here. But the major coding that we are going to do is over here in main.dart. So in the library folder, we have this main.dart file where we are going to do the coding. Then we have this test, which is for unit testing purposes, and some extra configuration files. So for now, we are not going to do unit testing. Well, let me just delete this folder from here. Delete it. Okay, let me increase the font size for you. So here in the editor, I may get the option for font. Yes. Change it to 20. I hope this is visible to you. Uh, is it visible to everyone, this particular font size, or should I increase it? Okay. So now before creating an application, we can see over here a large number of lines have been already written. So this is like a predefined code which when we create a new application, some particular things are like already coded over here, so we can execute and we can see what output it will give. But before executing, we need to we need to see the configuration, so whether the SDK is properly set, whether the AVD manager is being set and everything. So let us go to the settings and let's minimize this. Okay, plugins are already installed. It shows properly plugins are installed, and here we have the AVD manager. So I have created this particular device, which is like an emulator. So any application that I build will be visible on this emulator. If you don't have this virtual device already created, you can create it from here. Create virtual device and select any particular phone size over here. So I had created Nexus 5X. You can select anyone and next, and then download one of the versions. So I have downloaded Nougat version for my device on which I'm going to test my outputs. And uh, okay, so you can finish it over here. Now for the initial installation, initial configuration, this is going to download some files, so it will going to take time, but I have it already installed, so I have it ready over here. Now this is some code that is given by the Flutter, so I can see what output it is going to give me. My device name should appear, which is not appearing, so let me just open it from here. Okay, my SDK settings are not configured properly, I think so. Okay, so here no SDK. So SDK is not set. I'll just set it in the project settings and apply and OK. Okay. Now here I have this option. My emulator has already started. Otherwise, if it is not started, you can select your Android SDK over here and your emulator will start over here. Okay. Now this is the Flutter project, which is already it has given me some code over here, and we are going to execute and see what this particular thing is doing. So let me just minimize this thing so we can get more space over here, and we are going to run main.dart from here. So we'll run this application and check the emulator. Let me just minimize my Android Studio because it gets very confusing. Okay, so it is launching. It will take some time initially, but later on it will work faster. Let's close this. It's taking too long. We'll run this again. So here we are going to select the device. Why my device name is not appearing again. So this is working fine. Let's run it from here. It's saying some driver issue which should not be there as I have already configured everything. Okay, now this is visible over here and we have to run the Dart application. Should not take this long, but I am not sure what happened as it is still running the Gradle.
Can we take questions? Hello.
Yes.
Okay, I'm displaying first question on the screen.
Okay.
Are you able to see it?
Let's check. Okay, I think my screen is visible to everyone.
Yes.
Just a second. I'll share it again. Just the Android Studio part. Okay. Okay. How do we take input in from user in that? Vidya is asking that. So I think we have already created the variables and we can set values on this. That is like a if you are getting any input, we'll create a variables as same as that, but we do not have the scanner class over here. We have some different classes over here, but initially we are just going to look like creating a simple application. So let's just do that and then come to the input parameters and everything. So we'll also implement the input parameters, don't worry about that. You will get the answer as and when we come to that point.
There is
Application
one
is
more question.
fine. Yes. For taking user input, you can use text form field. See, we have some input widgets, predefined widgets in the Dart. So yes, we can take the user input in using those widgets. We have some widget for the text form, but it is not exactly a text form field. Okay, so we can use those widgets for taking an input from the user. So basically, you are just asking that. Can we create a particular form in the Flutter? So yes, we have the option to create the form, and we can implement the widgets as in how it is required. So that is how we can take the input. So if you require a text field, you can use a text field. If you require drop down, you can use that calendars and many those widgets. For that, you can also visit the website materials.io/components. So what all components Flutter provides, all those information you will get over there. What all widgets it provides, all those information is also existing on that particular website. So you can like get a particular document, proper documentation on what all things Flutter offers in the material package. Okay, now my application has finished running. I'll have to share my emulator also, but I think I can share only one thing at a time. What could be done for that? Let me find something. Okay, I'm sharing my entire screen as I could not find the option to share multiple screens. It was not allowing me. So now we can see over here application has finished. And what is this particular application? If you go through the code of this main.dat file, you will see what we are doing over here is On the top, we are importing a package, which is the material.dart package. And here is our main function. So everything that we write over here is going to be displayed or executed and displayed on the emulator. So here we are having run app. We have this particular widget, this widget over here, which extends the stateless widget. Now stateless widget, that means everything that we do over here is not going to change. And then most of the things, like there is a comment over here, most of the lines are used up in the comments. So basically in the material app, what is given is the title of this particular project, Flutter demo. And then if you scroll down, here is a build widget. So its data type is widget. This is the function build, and inside this we are returning some widgets. So as I said earlier, Flutter is, the complete application is like a widget tree. So there is a widget, and inside that there is another widget. My screen is not visible. Is it something like that? Let me stop and share again. Is it visible now? Okay. I think it is visible. Some people are saying it is visible. Okay. So what we have over here is a scaffold widget, and inside the scaffold we have some app bar. App bar is this bar over here. Then we have some things which are like defined on that particular bar. We have a body. In the body, we have a few things over here, which is like this. We have the text. We have a counter for this text. So what this counter is, whenever we are going to click on this particular, is the screen not visible? Many people are saying the screen is not visible. Please tell me if it is becoming visible again, because I think I have stopped and shared it again. If it is still not visible, I'll have to find some other way. Please tell me if my screen is visible, because I think I can see it on my screen that my screen has been shared. Okay, so is it visible? One person is saying yes. Alright. So I think my emulator and Android Studio both are visible right now. Okay. So I was talking about this code that is already given by the Flutter application. This is a demo code. So on the very first line, you can see that we are importing the material package, and then we have the main method over here. And we are just in the run app widget, we are calling this my app widget. Now, what is this my app widget? This is a class which extends the stateless widget, and we have a constructor over here. And there we have a build function. And this build function is of type widget. So everything is a widget, and it is a widget tree over here. Now what this build widget will return is, it will return the material app widget, which has some properties like title, theme, and colors, and there is a home. And on the home page we are giving the title Flutter demo home page, which is visible over here. And then we have created another class which is a home page, and it extends the stateful widget. So stateful widget, now this is using this widget we can change the values of any parameters or variables. So why this is used on this particular screen, if you ask, then we have this floating action button over here. So on clicking this action button, we can see that the counter is getting incremented, and there is some text. You have pushed this button this many times, and the counter gets increased as many times as you click on this particular button. So for increasing this counter value, we are going to use the stateful widget, because if we use the stateless widget, this value will never change once it is displayed on the screen. Then we have here some things are mentioned over here, state, and all these things we will mention when we will implement again in the stateful widget. Now this stateful widget has, when we create a stateful widget, it will also create a state object. So it will create this particular, it will extend the state object, and any dynamic variable will be working in this particular class. So we have this counter, and all the counter logic will be written in this particular class. So we are just incrementing the counter, so it is counter plus plus. And then we have the build function, same as the stateless widget. And inside this build function, what all things we are returning? So very first we are returning the scaffold widget. Inside that we have some properties such as app bar, body, and even in this properties we are returning the widget. So everything in yellow that you see over here are the widgets. So text is a widget, floating action button is a widget, icon is a widget. So anything you want to add over here, you will use the widget. So now we are creating our own application, so we don't want this ready-made code, so we can remove all these things from here. So let me remove all the classes that were defined. Now we have, okay, so this is the main function, and now we are not returning this my app. We don't have that class over yet. So what we will return is, let's say, material app, and in this material app we are going to define some properties such as home property. Let's say we need to show something on the home. So we have to show a string on the home. So what are we going to do is, we will use the text widget over here. So we cannot directly write home is equal to and the string say hello. No, this is not allowed. So what are we going to do over here is, we are going to use the widget text. And inside the text widget, we can specify what text we have to show. So let's say hello world and save this particular file. Run this Dart application, Dart file. I hope it is running at your end. It is taking very long at my end. Yes, we can use hot restart. I think Pritesh is asking why we cannot use hot restart. Hot restart. Yes, I was about to use hot restart, but my Dart application got it was running and it got stopped somehow. So that is the reason I had to restart it. Otherwise, we can use hot restart directly. Let me just open the other application that I created earlier. I don't know why this is taking so long. I'll just like copy this my code from here so we can be starting from that right where I stopped. Let's stop this application. Okay, so remove all this. Check if it is working properly here or the same issue is coming. Okay, so my emulator has started. We'll run this application again. Can you guys execute this? Please write in the chat box because I don't know what happened over here and it is taking very long than expected. It shouldn't have taken this long. You should have gotten this hello world on the screen. Okay, some people are telling that they have gotten the output. I'm still stuck over here. It is still running the Gradle tasks. Uh, so I think this works for most of few people. So you'll get this hello world text over here and this is your first application. But you have seen that it looks very basic. It has no styling, nothing. So now we have to style this thing. Okay, I've gotten my output. I think it is visible to everyone as well. So yes, so this is the basic application. You can see it is very basic text and we have not defined anything for this. There is no particular background color, nothing. And this text is also getting overlapped on the notification bar where all these Wi-Fi and all these things are there. So let's give some styling. So now we have to give the styling to the text widget. So here we have this property style, and in this we are going to use text style widget. Now you'll ask, how are you going to know what all properties exist in that particular class? So what you can do is hover on this and you will get a list of all the properties available for that particular widget. So we have a style property, strut style, and all these things. Or if it doesn't pop up on hover, what you can do is just put your mouse over here and press Control Q. So this will give you the same thing. So inside the text widget, I have this particular set of properties that I can use to manipulate my layout. So here in the text style, now in the text style, what I have to define is different styles. So I can change the font size, I can change the height. So when I hover on this particular widget, you can see what all properties we have over here. So we have color, we have background color, we have font size, weight, and everything. So let's use some of these in the text style. So we will use, let's say, the color of the text. So for applying the color, we can use colors dot, and when you do dot, you will get like the a list of basic colors that are available. And when you click on any particular color and press Ctrl Q, you will get a color swatch, which is not visible on my Android Studio due to the version issues of Dart and Flutter. Most of you will be able to see this, like it exists, but it is not visible because I can scroll down to the bottom and I can get some info, which means it is visible on the, so sorry, it is getting rendered but it is not getting visible. So what I do in this case is I select this particular color, and we get a list of swatch over here, which I can also get on the materials.io website. So here in the design, you can see the color palette, and we have the swatches. So we have these particular values over here. So red, 200, red 50, 100, 200, all these are the swatch colors. So I am using the swatch cyan color. So in that color, let's say I want to use this particular color. It is having 400 swatch, so I'll use that thing over here. So I'll write cyan and 400. Okay, so now these are all properties, so make sure whenever you provide the value of any property, put a comma, because if any other property we have to give in the future, we can, like, we cannot put semicolon over here. The next property that we have to use, we will have to give commas over here. And now I'm going to use hot restart over here. So we get an option if your application is already running. We will use the hot restart over here. And let's see, our color change should be visible over here. So my color has changed. Let's make some more changes. So let's say our font weight. See, one more thing I have to show you is whenever we write any particular property name, you get a suggestion or what it is expecting over here. So if I write over here, let's say font size, it says double. So it can be null. I can like not define this property, or if I am like using this property, it is expecting some value that is double. So font size, let's say it is 30. It is double. And font weight, now this is having some different thing, like we cannot use directly font weight and like we give the weight that is bold, italic. It doesn't allow like that. Why? Because if we see over here, when we type this, what it expects is another class, object of the class, which is font weight. So let's use this property. So how we are going to define the weight is font weight dot, and we'll get some suggestions over here. So let's do it bold. And now hot restart again. So let's see if our changes are being applied. Okay, so now my font size has changed, my font weight has also changed. So this is how I can change, I can use the widgets inside the widget. So my like top root of the tree, of the widget tree, is material app. Inside that I have used text, and inside text I have used text style. So it is a widget inside a widget. Now let's what can we do now over here is make instead of text, now we don't want to show text. What else can we show over here in the home? We can create image, let's say. So image, and we'll use the image widget over here. And okay, so what are we doing over here is we are putting an image. So in the image we have the property image, and inside that we are showing some Asset image is another widget that we are going to use. Now this is used when we have some images that are embedded into our project. If we are taking some image from the internet, so instead of asset image we can use the network image. So let's use the network image for the start. Network image, and I have this cool image over here. I'm just going to copy this link and I'm going to paste it over here. Sorry, my typo. And hot restart it again. Okay, so exception invalid image data, it says. So what does it expect? Let's see. It expects a URL. So I think we have done it correctly. Let's remove this particular thing. We'll create a scaffolding which will provide the layout to our application. So we'll use this scaffold image and we'll create an app bar over here. So we'll just write app bar, and inside this we are going to use the app bar widget. This is our app bar widget. Now in our app bar widget, what do we have to show? So let's say we have to give a title. So for title we have to give some text for the particular title. So for giving the text we have to use the text widget. And inside the text widget, let's say my first application. This is the app bar, and let's execute this, and we'll put the image inside this scaffolding. So now in my application, you can see that we have got this app bar over here and a blank space at the bottom. Now what we have to do is, there is another property which is body. If you can see over here in the scaffold, we have a body which expects a widget. So we will use the body. And what do we have to give over here in our body? So now we have to give the image. So let's get image. Uh, the network, the code that we wrote earlier, we have a shortcut for same in this way, image.network, and it will work the same. And here we have to specify the URL. So this is the URL. And, okay. And hot restart again. Okay, so it again says invalid image data because we are not providing any container for that image. So what we can do is, let's say we are going to center everything. So instead of doing this, let's do something else. You get some suggestions over here. So what we can do is wrap it with a widget. So these are called intentions. So some quick actions that could be performed can be like easily accessed from here. So we are going to wrap this inside a widget. So let's click on this functionality. Okay, now specify the widget. Now we are using the center widget. So everything in the body will be in the center. And we have a child which is image.network. Now you can see the center widget that is getting created over here. It gets automatically closed over here. So we need not write it again and not restart the application. Okay, is there something wrong with the URL that I have selected? Let's pick this. Instead of doing a shortcut, let's do it in a long cut because I think I have written the correct syntax. It should have worked, but it's not working. So let's do it in a long cut way. Network image, and then it expects a URL, which and restart it again. What does it say? Scale 1.0. Guys, are you getting the image properly or are you facing the same thing? Please let me know. Screen is not visible, is it? Okay, I'm facing some issue with the image. It shouldn't have. People are getting the output or not? Please let me know because I am facing this issue and I don't think I've written anything wrong over here. but it is still throwing an exception. Let's try something from here. Asset image, if you can try. Let's see. Yes, I'm thinking that the image URL is an issue, but it shouldn't have been. But let's see. We'll try asset image and check again whether the URL was the issue or something is wrong with my code. So asset images is basically the images that are embedded in your project. You can use those images. So what you can do for using the asset images is you can create a folder over here by right clicking on this project application and new. So you'll get a directory. So you can create a images directory over here. So let's create images directory. And in this images folder, I'll have to uh, drop some images so that we can use them in the project. So let's go to File Explorer. I have some images downloaded over here. So we will drop all these images in the folder images and refactor. Okay. So now you can see in the images all the four images that I have put have already been dropped to those to that folder. Now we have put the folder in the project. Sorry, we have put the images in the project, but now we have to tell the Flutter project that we have this particular images in this particular folder, and from that you can use those images to show it. So for that we can just make a few lines of code changes over here. So this line of code will be commented in your pubspec.yaml file. So you can just like scroll down to the part where assets are declared. It would be commented in your file. I have uncommented it. Uncomment that particular line of code. You'll be having like assets, two to three lines of code along under this assets. So what I'm going to do over here is I'm going to tell that my assets are present in the images folder, and I have to use cool1.jpg, which is the file in my images folder. So cool1.jpg. This is the path I'm specifying over here for my assets, and then I can use it over here. So let's save this file. Okay, so whenever the pub spec file is being edited, it will show you this. When you save the file, it will show you this that it has been edited. So what we have to do over here is we have to get the dependencies. So we will get these dependencies over here. Click on get dependencies, and then we can use images images slash cool1 dot jpg, and come in the run tab and hot reload, hot restart. So now my image is properly displayed. I was trying the same thing with the network. So if you have any image in the URL, you can just like put a network image over here instead of asset image, and you can give the URL. But I think there was some issue with the URL that I was giving, so that is why it wasn't getting visible. Now I have 4 files in my asset images folder. Let's suppose you have 50 files in your particular folder, and all those are icons that you are going to use in your projects in multiple files. So in that case, are you going to specify everything over here in pubspec.yaml file in the assets code? So like now I can use school 1, but if I want to use school 2 over here, and if I try to use school 2 image, it will give me an error because it is not registered yet in the configuration that this particular file is present in this folder. So what if I have multiple files and I want to use them? So I cannot write all the file names over here. So instead of that, what we are going to do is we are just going to give a relative path that in the images folder and forward slash. So whatever is present in the images folder is now registered in our pubspec file. And after making these changes, again you get over here get dependencies. So you have to get the dependencies from the pubspec, and this is visible right now. See, I've got the get dependencies now. So just accept it. And now I can use any other file. So if I just want to use school, which was not registered earlier, but now I want to use that, so I can definitely use that. It will not give any error. Okay, why is it giving again? I have made no changes. Okay, so this is how you show the images, and the same thing can be done in a shortcut way is image.asset, and you can give the path over here. So same thing. So same, I tried with the network, but I couldn't do it due to some reason. But we can do it right now. So we will just give the path over here, images, and whichever image we want to show. So tool.jpg, and save it and hot restart. Okay, so this is how you put the images. So now this image is visible over here. So this is how you put the images now. But what thing is bugging me over here is I have to, each time I make any change in the code, I have to come over here. I have to do the hot restart. I don't want to do that. So we have learned about the feature in the theory that we have hot reload in the Flutter application. So what hot reload does is we do not have to come over here. We have to, when we click on hot restart, it just closes the application. It rebuilds it. So that thing will be, that particular action will be eliminated, and any line of code that is changed over here will be perfectly visible directly on the emulator. So how we can do that is we'll have to remove this scaffold from here. So we'll remove this scaffold, and we are going to provide some widget name, but before that we have to create a class so we can pass that object over there. So let's say this is my home page. There is a shortcut to create a widget, so let's not go to the long cut way. So what I'm going to do is write stateless and press tab, and now here I'm going to give my name. So this is my home class. I am going to pass this object over here, and here we get the build widget over here, and it is returning a container. Okay, so this is a stateless widget. For that we write STLESS and press tab. It will create the stateless widget. and then we have this build function over here, and it is returning a container. So we do not want to return a container, we have to return the scaffold, the code that we had initially cut from this particular material app. So now we are going to paste it over here. So same thing we are doing over here, scaffold. So now once initially we'll have to hot restart it, but then later if we make any changes, those will be reflected on the spot over here when we save the file. Okay, so initial hot restart we have to do, that is already done. Now let's make some changes over here. So instead of image, let's put some action, or let's put some text over here. So let's say welcome to my application, and save this file. Reload is not performed because maybe oh sorry, I have put a semicolon, my bad. And now hot reload, performing hot reload, it came. So now I did not do a hot restart over here, but just saving the file will perform the hot reload. So what will happen is when we save the file, it will come to this build function, it will see all the widgets that we have created over here, and whatever is changed, it will just update that particular thing. So this is how the hot reload functionality works. Now we have till now what we have done is we have created only one particular component or widget over here, but we have not created multiple widgets. So how can we do that? Now what we are doing is, we on this particular child property, we are putting the image, or we are putting the text file. Now if I want to put another text file over here, sorry, another text file over here, can I create another child? Is it possible? It isn't, because what it says is this property is already having a value, so it will not allow to give another value. So for that, what can we use over here? So we have some layouts such as rows and columns. So you must be familiar with the table structure. In the Bootstrap, we have data grid also. So we can use that particular thing over here. So now let's remove this body center, and we will use the rows widget. Okay, so now let's make children. So we used child property till now, but in the rows we have children. Why is it not allowing me to use the rows? Let's make it a container. Will it allow me? Yes, it allows. But in the container we do not have children property, so it will not allow children. It will say child. Let's put rows over here. Okay, row, it wasn't rows, so my bad. It is row, and in the row we have children. Now why children is because we are creating a particular row or a column, let's say. So now we are just doing a row. So inside a row there will be like multiple widgets over here. So there is not a particular single widget. So if there is a single widget, we can use the child property, but row allows us to create a list of widgets in a one single row. That is why we have this children property over here. And inside this children property, we'll just create one by one the text, the widgets that we want to put inside in a list format. So this list is of type widget. So anything we pass over here must be a widget. Say we can see over here children const widget. So this list is of type widget. So over here, let's put the first element in our list, which is the text widget. And in the text widget, let's say hello. And then we have another widget over here. So outside the text widget, put a comma and let's create another widget which will be a button. So let's say raised button. Okay. So whenever we create a button, it should have this on pressed. Like if you remove this on pressed property, it will give you an error because obviously the buttons are having some functionality. We create buttons so that it can be clicked and some functionality can be performed. So on pressed is the default property which will come when you create any button. So here we have to create some functionality, which let's put it as blank right now, as we don't want anything to be done when the button is clicked. And let's change the color of the button. Colors, for colors we can do colors dot, and from here let's select blue, and you can give accent, it is optional. I'm okay with the primary blue color. And then another widget which is also a button but flat button. So we'll see what is the difference between both these buttons. Again, we have on pressed method over property over here, and the child. So in this child we can give another widget which is a text. So what I want to display on my button. So let's say click. Right. So let's save this. Okay, so here we have these three particular widgets on a single row. So I have not given anything on this button. Let's put some text and text. And this. So we have gotten this. Now I want the elements that are displayed on this layout to be properly aligned. Like this is everything is switched up on the left hand side. So I don't want it like that. So I have two properties over here in row. So there is a main axis alignment and there is a cross axis alignment. Sorry, it was small letters, not capital letter in the start. Main axis alignment. Now what is this main axis and cross axis? So both in row and column widget you will get this property. What it says is I want to align this uh, widgets over here. So for row my main alignment will be horizontal, so from left to right, and my cross will be from top to bottom. Whereas if we are working with the column, so column is any widget that you put inside the column will be displayed one below the other. So there the main alignment will be top to bottom and the cross alignment will be from left to right. So here main axis alignment, we have to use main axis alignment widget over here and dot. We'll see this suggestions over here. Let's check what each and every suggestion does over here. So let's select the start and say what will happen with this. So this is the default default property that is applied because everything is switched up to the start of the row, which is the left hand side. So if we change it to end, then what will happen? So everything has now moved to the end of the row. Similarly, what other options we have? Space evenly. So So now it has spaced this evenly, and we have space around which looks somewhat similar, but there is just a little bit of difference. Space around. Okay. So you will see space around will put space around the complete widget. So the widget in the center will have more spaces between the between its left and right widget as compared to the space evenly. So if you like compare both of them, you will identify what is the difference. In evenly, it will make sure that the space is even between all the widgets, but in space around, it will put space around all the complete widgets. So where there are like two adjacent widgets, so the space might look like it is bigger than the space on the start and end of the row. So that is how it gets spaced. And then let's put another alignment, that is cross axis alignment. And let's tell this alignment, sorry, cross axis alignment dot center. So what it will do, so nothing, because my row is of size one row, so it is already in the center, so it is not taking the center of the screen, it is the center of the row. What else we have over here? Stretch, I think. Yes. So now it is stretching this particular widget to the, so both of these are the buttons. So the text it cannot stretch, but this text is inside the button. So button widget to be stretched. So it is stretching it to the complete space that is available on my layout. So my hello looks smaller, but both these buttons have been stretched. So you can like play around with this and check what all different things it allows. So start, center, end, again this is the same thing. So at the end of the column or at the start of the column, you can do all these things as well. So okay, so if you see over here, start, end, and center will really not make any difference if you look over here, because the row size is very much limited. So you can only see that hello has come down, but this button is already at the end of the row, so it is not coming down. So similarly, if I put this as start, my hello will move up, but the buttons will remain at the same place. See, so that is because the size of the row is small, so that is why you cannot see much difference. Now inside a row, if you want to put a column, so what we are making is a list of widgets, so I can also add a column widget over here. So inside the row I can add the column widget, but right now we are doing it outside. So let's remove this row column and make it as row widget and make it as column widget. Now here the elements are same, but the alignment will get modified because it is spaced evenly. So it has spaced. Now my three columns are stacked on top of each other. So this is my column element number one, element number two, element number three, or widget number one, two, and three widgets over here. And now this is because the main alignment for column is from top to down, and cross alignment is from left to right. So when I say start of the cross alignment, it will squish everything to the left hand side of the screen. And when we say at the end, at that time, it will squish everything to the right hand of the screen. Right hand of the column, not the particular screen. So our column is this much, yes. So it has moved it to the right side of the column, or we can just make it to the center. And we can do this as stretch to make it at the center of the screen. Okay, it is not allowing stretch. This is my main. Okay, my main axis will not allow the stretch, but it will allow center, and this can stretch. So now everything has come to the center, and stretch means it is occupying the complete space that is available in the cross alignment. So my cross alignment is from left to right side, so it is occupying the complete space for all these widgets. So this is how the column element works. Um, Now inside this column, let's say the next child we have to put after the flat button is row. So we can put this over here, and inside the row we will specify again children, because that is the property we have to use to define any other widgets inside the row. Now in the children, let's say we have uh, okay, we also wanted to see the difference between these buttons. So let's make a color over here, and then you can identify what is the difference. So okay, so the raised button, you will see a smaller shadow that is being displayed at the bottom of the button. But if you use the flat button, there is no shadow. So that is the only difference between the raised button and the flat button. So if you want to like show a particular, this is mostly used in the Android layouts. We get like any widget that is used in the Android application, we get the shadow effect over there. So for that reason, I had used both these buttons to make you understand what is the difference. But both are buttons, but this is the difference. One is having shadow, one is having not having the shadow. And now on press, let's put some functionality over here. So on this flat button, we are putting on pressed, it should print something. So let's say that reflect me and save this. So if I do a click on raise button, what will happen? The button is getting clicked, but nothing is happening. But when I click on this, you will get this message in console that you clicked me. So any event that you want to fire or any functionality that you want to achieve on pressing any particular button, you can use this on pressed functionality, and you can do some write some functions over here. Okay, now we were on the row. So let's create some widgets inside the row. Now this is the column widget, and below this widget I have created a row widget. So we are going to align some widgets in the row. So let's make it, let's create that very quickly. So we'll just put the text widgets over there. Let's say row element 1. And number 3 and element number 3. So you have got all these text elements over here. You can obviously style them as we have seen the style properties, or you can use any other what to say, any other widget instead of text. So this is just for demo purpose. So I have used the text widget over here. Now we want one more element, which is in the column. Let's put a floating button, which we have seen in the demo project. floating action button. So again, we will have the on pressed over here. So let's keep it blank for now. It will not perform anything. And background color. So let's put as colors dot. Select any color from here. Let's take pink accent in shade 300. And on the button, if you like just save this, you will get a floating button over here. But I want to put something on this button. So let's say I have to put another widget. So I'll have to use the child over here and give some text to this. So let's see with me and save this. So this is my floating action button. Now because we have used this inside a column widget, that is the reason it has been placed over here. Otherwise the default location for this floating action button is on the bottom right corner. So if you have not used any particular layout, like I have used this button inside a layout, so if it is not inside, it will by default it will show on the bottom right side of the screen. And usually like on WhatsApp also I think you have this functionality, so you can like just click on that button and you'll see the screen for selecting a new contact to whom you want to send the message. So that is a floating action button. Okay, so we are done with this. So this is like the stateless widgets and rows and columns. So we can like create an example of stateful widgets. I hope everyone is following with me and everyone has got the outputs as I wanted. If not, then please inform. No one is replying on the chat box. Is everyone getting the output, or is anyone not getting the output? Or should I proceed? Everyone is following. Please inform. Okay, so I think everyone is getting the output and everyone is following well. So, all right. Before creating the stateful widget, I think I have missed some points or some widgets that you should know. So I think we'll just like uh, go through that once, so that like you'll have more better or clear idea what we have done till now. So let's use a suggestion over here and we'll wrap this complete row inside a widget. So the row with the row elements 1, 2 and 3, we are wrapping this inside another row, and we will give this as an expanded widget, and the child is a row. So what expanded widgets does is, you can see all the row elements have used the space till like it is not using the complete space. So I want my element to use the complete space, so I can use the expanded widget over here. So whatever space that was left uh, over here, so it has expanded it to that. Now let's remove this, like let's undo this, and we'll just put it the expanded text in inside the row and not outside. So let's wrap these all these text inside. So I'm not getting a suggestion over here to wrap it, so I guess we'll have to do it manually. Okay, I've got it wrapped within a widget. So now it's specify the widget that is expanded, and again Okay, so what it has done is, my row elements 1, 2, and 3 were very much adjacent to each other. So what it has done is, it has taken the complete space that was available horizontally in the row, and it has arranged my row elements spaced evenly. So my first element is in the leftmost side of the screen, last element at the end of the screen, and whatever number of elements are in the middle, those will be evenly spaced. Now one more thing I can do with expanded is, if you are familiar with the Flexbox in CSS, you would pick up this very quickly. Is we can use the flex property over here, and I can give the flex property as 2. Let's give this flex properties to other expanded widgets as well. So, and change this to 3 and 1. So what I am essentially doing over here is, I have divided my complete row in how many parts is this 2 plus 3 plus 1, because everything is in a single row. So I've divided it into 6 particular parts, and I'm telling that this particular widget, the first text widget that I'm using, or the expanded widget I'm using, I'm telling that use 2 parts, 2/6 of the part, that is 1/3. The next expanded widget I'm telling use half of the screen. So this element will use 1/3, this element will use half, and the last element will use 1/6 of the screen. So this is having very less space. That is the reason it is not wrapping my text, because it is not like getting enough space to display it in a single line. So this is a property of the expanded widget, which is like, if you want to proportionate the layout of all your widgets, you can use this particular widget. And also the intentions that I have shown you, have like many suggestions over here. When you click on the particular widget, you will get like, what is the intention, wrap it within a column, within a container. So like, these are the shortcuts. Instead of writing everything again, you can use the shortcuts. Same thing you can do over here also. So Flutter outline, in this outline you will get some all these things over here. How do we do that? If it is not visible, we just do control and something. Let me find out. Now this is not showing the outline, so there is just a shortcut of this. Let me quickly find out what is the shortcut. Okay. Yes. So control and click on any particular widget. Press the control key and click on any particular widget. It will show the outline of all the widgets you have used on the screen. So it is basically showing you the widget tree that you have used. So I have the scaffold, inside that I have the app bar, and it is in a hierarchical format. So even here you can do the same things over here. So wrap with center. If you right click on any particular widget, you will get the same options that you were getting over here on the intention side. And also the same options are available over here. So wrap with center, wrap with padding, all these properties like suggestions you can get over here also. So this is also one useful functionality if you are not aware. So okay, what else I have missed is containers and padding. So let's implement a container over here. Okay. So here we have used the text widget. So instead of this widget, let's use another widget which is a container. And inside the container, now container is it's just a container if you have not used any other widget on the layout, the container will most probably occupy the complete screen. So if you like specify the color of the container, it will color the complete screen. But once you put any widget inside the container, it will only color the space that is used by that particular widget. So let's say the color over here, colors dot gray, and let's give it a swatch of 100 and save this. And put the child element, and inside this we will write the text. So this is my row element number 3. The color is very light. I think we can increase this. So if we remove this child element, let's see how much this container occupies. Save this thing. So it is not occupying anything because we are having some other elements over here, and this container is a part of the row of a row. So inside a row, until and unless I'm having anything in the child, it is not going to show anything that how much space this container is going to occupy. So now I can see my row element over here. Then if I want to give padding to this container, I can simply give padding over here. Now for padding, we have something called edge insets. So edge insets is you can see the different options that we have. So if we want to give all, so in all we will specify how many pixels. So let's say 5 pixels. and it is a double value, you can give 5 or 5.0. It doesn't really affect the output. So what it is going to do, it is very less. Let's make it more obvious. So let's put 10 pixels. Okay. So it has created a padding around my text element of 10 pixels. Now this is for all. Now let's say from we have another one from left, left, from left, top, right, bottom. So if I want to give different padding values for left side, top side, right side, and bottom side, so I can use this. So 10.0, say 20.0, and then again 10, and again 40.0. So see, now it has applied different padding for all the different sides. Then again we have symmetry over here. So in symmetric, it is going to say vertical and horizontal. So here we have to specify vertically how many pixels we have to give. So let's say vertical we give padding of 20 pixels, and sorry, horizontally we give um 20 pixels again. We'll change the vertical ones to make it more obvious. So this is how your padding will work. Now inside this padding, you must be knowing the difference between the padding and the margin. So padding is, it will allow the space inside the widget, and margin is, it will put some space outside the widget. So we can also specify margin. We have to use edge insets also for the margin. So again here we have all the similar options. So I want margin on all sides of say 20 pixels. So I'm going to get this. Now we also have a padding property, sorry, widget, but it is not advisable to use inside the container, because here in the container, if I want to give the margin, then I may not be able to give the margin if I'm using the padding widget, because in the widget I will be only able to provide the padding. So now let's see the output. What we can see over here is it is occupying end-to-end space available on the particular screen. So I want to give a padding to the complete body. So what I will have to do is, here I'll scroll to the top. Over here in the body I have used a container. I'll wrap this in another widget. So wrap with widget, and now here I can give padding. Okay, so now you can see the complete screen that was getting occupied in my application. Now I have applied the padding. So here now if I want to apply the margin, I may not be able to apply the margin because my widget itself is padding. But inside the container, I can use padding and margin both together. So that was one thing. Okay. So now let's move on to the stateful widget. Let's create a stateful widget over here. So how do we create a stateful widget? Similar to stateless widget, we will write stful and press tab. So now I can give the name over here. So let's say test page over here. Now when you create a stateful widget, you will see that there are two classes getting created. So this is my class, test class, that extends the stateful widget, and there is a state class that is extended by this test state. So actually what it is doing is it is initializing, or it is maintaining the particular state over here, and it is passing this object in this. So we can like create any particular variables, or any particular widgets whose value is going to change. So the very initial project in the demo app that we saw, that was on clicking on button, the value was getting changed. So this is how we can create that using the stateful widget. So again, here we have this container. So this, let's remove this and create our convert our existing stateless widget into a stateful widget. So what we can do is click on this stateless widget, and you will get an option to convert to stateful widget. So when it got converted to stateful widget, it automatically created this second class, and returned all this code that I had written over in the stateless widget is getting automatically converted into the stateful widget. So I need not write again everything. Okay, so now I think we can create a stateful application. So let's remove this body. We will create another one. Let's remove everything from here. Now in the app bar, I've kept the app bar as it is because I want the app bar. And in the body, so now we are going to create the body. So initially, let's put a padding over here in the body, because I don't want my application to use the complete screen. So we will put some padding over here. So let's say padding of 30 pixels, and then there will be a child element which child property which will have a container. And let's check the output. Sorry, I forgot. It's my mistake. We have to use edge insets over here and not directly give the value. Edge insets dot all and give the pixel value, that is 30. Okay. So now my application is completely empty. Let's change the text. What are we making today is, let's say, details card, and so also I want to change the background color of my complete application. So I think I have the option to change it. The background color, let's change to colors dot gray and 300 accent. Let's see how it is getting displayed. Okay, so if you increase this, you will see that my background color is already applied, but it is actually very uh, light. That was the reason it was invisible, but I want it light, so let's keep it 300 itself. Okay, and then we have the app bar title. Okay, so we have given the title. Let's move the title to the center. So we have this property called center title. Uh, I have already informed you that if you want to like see any particular property, what all things are available in the widget, you can just hover your mouse, or you can also refer to the documentation like the Dart documentation and the Flutter documentation that is prepared. That is like really very good. You will get in detail explanation of all the properties that I mentioned, what all parameters it takes and everything. So you can also refer that in case you are not sure what value must be passed to the particular property. So we have this center title. It is a boolean value. So let's just tell it that it is true. So we'll take the boolean value, and my title has come into the center, and provide a background color to the title. So let's give some color, green and 700. Okay, I think it should be darker. Okay, so this is my layout. I have written the app bar and the body. Now in the body we have to specify a few things. So what all things we need to mention in the body is, okay, let's give a column because we need it in columns. So all the elements that all the widgets that we create will be stacked from top to bottom. So in the columns we have this property called children, and in the children we are going to specify what all things we have to show. So the very first proper widget I want to use is, let's say, text widget, and in the text widget I have to show the name of the particular uh, person. So I have put the name. Let's give it some styles also. So style and textile widget. Okay, I made some mistake over here. It was showing me an error. All right. Okay, now this is correct. So in the text style, let's give some font weight as font weight bold, font size, say 20 pixels, and check if our column is getting generated. Okay, so it is, I guess, too large. Let's remove this font. Bold. I think this is enough. Font size. Okay. Now the next thing is I want to show the name. So let's say here we will show the name And now we have to give a font family because I don't want this particular font family. So what I'm going to do is download a Google font over here. Uh, let's search Google font library fonts.google.com. And search for the font. So you might include some fonts, but it may not be visible into the Android. So I was trying to find out why it is, because it will not even give you any exceptions or anything, but it will just not change the font that you are trying to apply. That is because Dart is still not supporting many of the fonts that are available with the Google fonts, but it is not even giving any exceptions. So if it is not supporting the file, it is not even giving you the exception. So you might wonder that I have imported this particular font file, I have done everything, but still my font is not changing. So that is because it is not yet supported. So I know this indie flower font is supported, so I'm going to just use this font looks like this. And what I'm going to do is download this font. I think I should get an option. Okay, over here it is. I should place this on the left and download. Okay, so here I have the font that I wish to use. Just extract this over here. So it consisted of two files. One is my TTF file, the font file, and one is OLF, that is the text document. So we just require this font file over here. So what we are going to do is select this font file, and in our application in the Android Studio, let's open the project. I have created a folder over here, font folder. I already have this file. Let's remove this for now, and I'll import this from here. So just drag and drop it in the fonts folder. If you don't have the folder, please create a folder before dropping the file. So create a fonts folder and drop this font file into your font folder. Okay, and okay. So my font is in place. Let's close this. Okay, so now I have this in the regular font over here. Now I want to use this font. So I want to use this. I'll have to specify uh, this in the pubspec.yaml, just like we did for the images, because we are embedding this font and it is an external file. Our project is not yet aware that this file exists and where does it exist. So we will just go to the pubspec and scroll down to the commented code of the fonts. Uncomment that fonts. Also make sure that when you are uncommenting, this indentation should be proper, like it is using an indentation of 2 space bars. So use this properly. It generally does not give error, but sometimes it does not work. If I like just put an extra space over here, it might not work as expected. So try to match the indentation of the document, and what it says over here. Okay, uncomment this font code, and what we have to do over here is you have to specify the name for the font. So we have used the indie flower, so we are going to give this name indie flower. We can obviously give any custom name. It is not necessary that you have to give this name itself. And in the asset, in fonts asset, inside this asset property, you are going to define or give the path where this particular font is. So it is in the root, inside the root folder. You have this fonts folder created. You must have created it right now, and inside this you have this indie flower regular file.ttf. So give this path over here and save it, and it should give you the option to get the dependencies in the main file. So once you have specified the font location and everything in the pubspec, and adjusted the dependencies and everything, you will be able to use it over here. Now what we are going to use it over here is the name that you have given over here. So we can just copy this and paste it. It is a string, so paste it this way, and there we are. So we have got this font John Doe in the indie flower font, which is given by the Google. So we can create this font family like this, uh, embed the external font files, and we can use those fonts into our application. Okay, now what else we can do is change the color of the font. So let's change it to, let's start do accent and 300. Okay, so now everything is set properly. Let's put some more widgets inside this. So we will just copy and paste it again, because I write multiple times when we can copy and paste. So okay, we'll give over here, let's say, the age, and let's say whatever is your age, put it over here. And I don't want this font family over here. Okay, sorry. So I've got the age, but it is not looking properly. So let's like make an alignment over here. So what we can do is we will wrap this in another widget. Let's call it center, and everything has come to the center. Or also this name and the actual value of the name, the age and 25 are everything like very much crammed up together in a very small place. So we have to put, we can put margins obviously, but we also have something called sized box, which will be using which we will be able to create a space, and inside this we will specify the height. So let's say we want the height of 10 pixels, and this is placed between the name and John Doe, so we will get some space over here. Now this box is actually invisible because it is not having any borders or anything, so it is just like creating a invisible space in between. You can obviously use margins as well, that is also fine, but this is also one widget that we have, so that is why I use this one. And then let's say more space between the John Doe and age. Okay, the same thing over here. Now here I want icon. Let's use an icon for the email. First we'll have to specify email, let's say, so not this one, this one. This will be the email. Or what we can do is directives. So instead of doing this, we will use icon over here. So let's use a row widget first. Inside this row, we will have children, and in this we will specify icon. Okay, and this we will have icon. So now, sorry, in this we have some predefined icons. So if you just like do dot and search for something, let's say email we want to put, so we will get a suggestion what all icons are available. So we have this icon will look like this, so whatever you wish to use, you can use that. So let's use this email rounded icon, and after this we will specify the text. So let's give a value to the icon, so not to the icon, sorry, the email. So we will just specify here the email example. Now this is our email. Now again here, this is very much cramped up in a very small space, so we can use a sized box over here also. So let's use a sized box, but here we don't want the height in the size box, we want the width. So let's give the width of 10 pixels and put a comma at the end, and this should work fine. Okay, so what is happening is, what is it is telling is the render flow, render flex overflowed by 5.6 pixels. So there is no space on the right hand side, and I'm trying to put a box in between. So that is why it is giving me this error. So we can reduce the font size to make space. How it looks properly. Now, what else we can do is in this column, I want everything to be on the left side because this looks like very much something is the center, something else is not in the center. So it is not looking properly. So we can use the alignment. Now we have already seen how the alignment works, and for the column, the main axis alignment is from top to bottom. And I want to shift everything on the left hand side. So that will be cross axis alignment because I have to work horizontally in a column widget. So I can use the cross axis alignment property over here, and I'm going to give cross axis alignment dot, let's say, the start of the column. So everything has now come to the left hand side. Now this looks pretty much okay than the previous thing. Now let's put a button. Since we are working in the stateful widget, we want something so that some variable or dynamic values can be displayed. So let's create a variable here on the top before the build. We are going to create a variable age. Okay, we created this age, and we'll give some predefined value, otherwise it will say it is not nullable, it will provide throw some error. So let's give it 25 and some button in the bottom of the column. So let's put paste button dot icon, and on pressed we have to write some functionality on pressed, and since it is an icon button, we have to give the icon and the label. So icon we can use image, or let's say not image, we can directly use the icons dot something. So let's say an add icon over here to increment the age, and we can say label why does it show the red line over here. So it is expecting a widget, and I had directly given this icons dot whatever icon I wanted. So it was expecting a widget. So let's see what this is expecting. Label. So I can give the label add. It is not expecting the text file. So what is, does not have a label widget, I think. No. Okay. So again we need some space over here because it is very much cramped up into a very small space. So put a sized box in between and give it a height of 10 pixels. Okay. Give some background color to the button. this looks good. Okay, so now what we want is on clicking this button, it should perform something. So what I was trying to do is it should increment the age of this. So initially it is 25 because it is coming, we have directly like written over here this thing, but we don't want it hard coded over here. So what we will do is on pressing of this button, we have to set the state, like what is the uh, if we go in a javascript kind of thing, what we would actually do is we would just do age plus equal to 1 uh, to increment it. But here in Dart, it does not know what is the current value, it is not having any particular state right now, so we have to write set state. It's a it will expect a function here, and we can write age plus 1. This should work fine, and this is a semicolon at the end. And for and now here where we were giving the hard coded value, there we want the age parameter, so string interpolation over here inside the text. And let's save this and try whether our stateful widget is working properly. Okay, my color is maybe this color accent is not available. Let me check the accent because it is not displayed on my thing. I don't really know whether this is available or not available. Okay, let's use this blue 400. Okay, it's got applied. Now we will just click and see whether our age is getting incremented. Yes, it is. So this is how the stateful widgets work. So what we have done here is we have created an variable over here. The very first thing we did is create a variable. Then we added the button. You can also use now, like I have used the raise button, you can use floating action buttons and everything, so that will come like on the top bottom right side of the screen. And inside that, on pressed, you have to mention this set state so that it can maintain the state, and then inside that you will write the logic. And then the place where you have to show the age, there we have to just instead of hard coded text, we have to use the variable. So this is how you are going to create a stateful widget. Now let's also add something into this. Is I want to put an image over here, but it should not be like a proper rectangular image or something. It is something called circled avatar, that is a widget that is available for putting circled avatar. Am I writing anything wrong? Let me just check. Okay, it is not circled, it is circle avatar. So I'll be using this widget to give a photo, like a profile photo. And inside this, what all properties we have, let's check. So we have this child property, which we are going to use background color, image and everything, and radius. So radius you can specify for the particular image. So just keep in mind that you are giving the radius and not the diameter, so calculate accordingly. And then it will be doubled, so we have to give the background image for this now. And my background image is in asset image widget. Inside this we can use assets, and what was that image? Okay, images. It's not in assets, it is in images. And tool3.jpg. Okay, so I have given this, and I'll also give a sized box because I know it is going to uh, get all cramped up. So let's also give a sized box and height of pixels, and save this. Okay, so here is my avatar over here, and it has also come to the left hand side. So what we can do is, I want it in the center. I can enclose it in another widget, which is using wrap with widget, and I'll just use center over here. So now I think my widget will be in the center. Okay, and also here, instead of size box, we can use a divider. So divider is like just a thin line from the in horizontally. It is laid out horizontally, and it is like it will be very thin line, which will be using which we will be able to divide our profile picture and other details. So let's just increase the profile picture because it is looking very small. I'll increase the radius to 60 pixels, and instead of side box, let's just remove this completely, and I'll use a divider. Now in the divider I have to give the height. So height, let's give again 60 pixels, and there is one more, that is the color of the divider. So color will be colors dot gray color you can put, and 500. What did I do? Okay, I have forgot a comma over here. Yeah, so now you can see my divider is properly placed, and the height that we have given over here, it is not the complete height of the divider. It will adjust the height on the top and bottom of the divider. So if I have given 60, it will just put 30 above and 30 below. I can also increase this or decrease this as you wish. So this is how you can put the images, also the dividers and everything in your project. Okay. So now I just want to give you a very basic program for implementation. Now that you have learned most of the widgets and how to use them, even the stateful and stateless widgets. So what you can do is prepare an layout and in that layout use the stateful widget. Stateless is obviously, if you want to use, you can use it, but use a stateful widget. And what you can do is put something over here and change the value of that. Like now this is what we have created, a card. So what you can do is you can create your own college ID card, and in that the year of admission you can provide a initial admission year and change it on the button click, or not, if not, if sorry, not even if you want the button instead of raise button, I would like that if you would use the floating action button. That would be like look better. It would come on the top, sorry, bottom right of the screen, and you can make changes in this same file itself. So like you have most of the code available to you, and just add a floating action button. And whatever we did over here on this button, we I think we won't be able requiring this button from now. So you can just add a floating action button, and add one more uh, child widget in this column, that is your admission year, and change that value. So if like you can do it, I don't think it will take much time. So if you can implement it, then I would be like something fruitful has been imparted from me to you. So please, you can start with this implementation. It is very simple. I think you will complete it in 10 to 15 minutes.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. It's a very nice session, Hemlata. Thank you for conducting a very nice practical-oriented session for the today's webinar. Uh, so, uh, guys, you all having some homework session from the Hemlata side. So, meanwhile, we will take some small break after some queries. Will be if you are having any doubt or any queries, you can. Just come and share on the chat WhatsApp, chat box, so that it will be solve the queries answered by the Hemlata. Okay. So meanwhile, just do whatever the homework will be given from the guest side. And meanwhile, if you are having any doubt or anything in your mind to ask, you can just put the query in the chat box so that we can resolve at the same time for the session one. Yeah, Himrata, we are having one question. Please, can you?
How much scope of Flutter in future? That I think I have covered this thing in the theory itself, that it was actually started with the scope of like covering the iOS and the Android platforms, but now it is like growing, and it has gone to web development as well, and it is trending. That is the reason I was requested from your faculty member to like conduct a session so that you get familiar with this technology. And I think you might have noticed that this is like very much simple. It is taking some syntax from the JavaScript and C++, which is like very much familiar to you. So it is very much easy to learn, and the scope is better in the future as of now.
Yeah, any more queries? Harshada, can you put any more queries we are having so that we will put over here?
Rather than building the, I think I gave this answer then and there, that my application got closed. That was the reason I was building the application again, but then I used the hot restart only because somehow it got closed. Otherwise, yes, obviously we can use hot restart. Website, it see, already you have said Flutter is used in website. So it is not that the material design is used only for the Android, because I have explained that in the initially, that material design, we have like two major packages, that is the material and the Cupertino. And Cupertino is for iOS, and material design is in general. So you can like use iOS, you use it for iOS, for Android, and also for the other applications. Now, it is not that the Flutter applications are only for the mobile. It is for the web. So in the web there is no Android or no this thing. So for that also we can use the Flutter. So I don't know whether you were having this option of in the selecting the emulator device. There I used to get the option to see this particular output that I was seeing on the emulator even on the web. So I can also design the Flutter application of different screen sizes, which is not limited to just the phone screen size. It can also go to tabs, kiosks, even on the smart screens and everything. So right now, today, we were just like learning the beginners thing. That is why I focused more on the Android thing, and we use the Android emulator and everything. So yes, it is having scope in the web as well. Which is better, React Native or Flutter? If you see, there are some pros of Flutter, and there are also some drawbacks of Flutter. And also for the React, same thing. We have some pros and some cons. So if you just focus on Flutter right now, what are the major drawbacks, or I won't say major drawbacks, but some drawbacks of Flutter is we are maintaining a single code base in of both the platforms, iOS and Android, in the Flutter application. So what happens over here is we had two different folders in our project. One was for Android, one was for iOS. So some themes that are just specific to iOS must go in that particular iOS folder. Some themes just that are particular to Android or web must go to the other folder. So we are maintaining one code base, but we are also increasing the file size. So that is also a drawback of the Flutter, which you will like not face in the React. Also, React is having a complete different syntax. It has its components and everything. In Flutter we have widgets and everything, but yeah, Flutter does give a very vast library of all the widgets. Like you can go through the documentation of Dart and Flutter. I can also provide you the links at the end of the session, so that you can go through the what all things the material .io provide, what all components we have, what all widgets we have. So I think that I this is my opinion, but I'll have to do more research. But currently, I think Flutter is better. What are the prerequisites? Just yeah, it is just a very basic syntactical language. It is not very rocket science. So if you know JS, if you know CSS, it is just to understand the syntax. Otherwise, it is not a requisite to learn the JS and to learn the CSS. But just because you know the syntax of JS and everything, so it is easier to understand Flutter. How are the job opportunities? See, I am not actually hiring for the Flutter or anything. But if I look at the market right now, yes, it is in demand and the demand is growing. So I cannot give you an exact, what we say, an exact number, but yes, it is currently it is growing. After we learned Flutter, is there any additional language we learned to see? Flutter is not a programming language, right? Flutter is an SDK. The programming language we are using is Dart. So Dart is a language. If you know Dart, you can obviously build applications in Flutter, and I don't think you need to learn anything else if you know that. And like even that is very vast. The thing that we implemented today was very basic. You can also like create APIs and everything. So even that is actually a very vast language. But today we learned the basics of it, the beginner level Flutter. I think the questions are done. There are no more questions. And you must be done with the implementation also, because very small implementation I gave.
Yeah, there is one more question. Harshita, can you put on the yeah.
Which state management is often used in Flutter? It depends on the requirement of the application, right? If you have the static application, you can always use stateless. But if your application maintains some kind of state, some kind of dynamic value, you'll have to use stateful.
Any more questions we are having? Harshada, can you confirm with me?
No, sir.
Okay then. So, uh, guys, just check it on the chat box. We have shared the session one link feedback form. So, requesting to all the people, please fill that link. Okay, and for the session two, uh, the time will be announced very soon after this conversation. Okay, the session two link is also there. So you have to fill both the links, then only you will get the e-certificate. Okay, so and Hemlata, thank you for the smooth conduction of session one. So we will start session two. Okay, and I'll requesting you to Shloka, please join this. Join here, Shloka.
Yes, sir. Okay, so I hope all the queries have been resolved by Miss Hemlata Badwal. This was the smooth conduction of this first session. So, guys, this is the end of the first session. For the second section, I will request you all to be present at 1:50, so that we will start the second session at 2 o'clock at sharp. The feedback form link will be shared for the second session in second session only. So, be do watch and thank you.
Okay then. Okay, Hemlata, we'll see at 2 o'clock. Okay. Thank you so much, Hemlata.